I always find it fascinating how the media twists the story to support their agenda. Back in January, a lot of these leftist shill media entities could not shut up about the fact that Captain Marvel had a high-end range projection of 180 million opening weekend. They called the low-end projection 140 million, so 140 million to 180 million opening weekend. This movie's gonna reach at least 140 million, guys. At least that was the narrative just 1 month ago. It hasn't been that long. But now that we're in February, the range has gone down, way down to 80 to 120 million. But again, it's funny because the shill media are still putting out headlines like this: Captain Marvel tracking for marvelous 100 million plus debut. It's funny, when the projections were in the high end range, they're using the low end range as the base mark. They were saying 140 million plus. Now they're using the mid range of 100 million when the low end range is 80 to 120. God damn it, man. You have to compare apples to apples. You can't be inconsistent like this. You can't, because earlier it would have been 160 million to down to 100. It would have been a loss of 60 million. But of course you won't. A loss of 40 million is a lot easier to make excuses for, right? Instead of 60. But anyways, the shill media are not going to talk about the drop in projections. They're going to keep touting whatever the projections are as good, no matter how low they drop. I mean, at this rate, this thing could drop to 40 to 80 million projection, and they'd still be like, this is great, because it's still an origin movie of a female Marvel character, so it wasn't expected to do well anyway, even though they're the ones who were saying it was expected to do well, you know what I mean? Because even if you read just the borderline shill media entities coverage on this, they already have all of the excuses in the book ready for when this thing does not meet expectations. But first, let's talk about the projections in itself and what they were being compared against, right? So the high-end projections back in January were based on the numbers that Black Panther did. Black Panther managed to catch lightning in a bottle and had an opening weekend of $202 million. Clearly the exception to the rule, however, especially for origin movies of Marvel characters, because Black Panther is kind of weird, right? I mean, the movie in itself I don't think was too SJW fueled, right? I didn't really feel any kind of virtue signaling in that regard, at least. And in the end, it was an okay movie. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, but it was okay, you know what I mean? It's a superhero movie. A superhero movie with a nearly identical plot to The Lion King. Now the marketing for it, however, especially the post-marketing, that was super SJW fueled. Jesus Christ. The post-marketing is what prevented me from watching it at the cinema, because I was just like, what the fuck is this? I mean, they somehow riled everyone up into this frenzy of this is the greatest movie of all time, and if you have anything negative to say about it, you're a racist. I forgot what the deal was. I think there were like 2 critics from Australia that had, you know, minor gripes with the movie. They were attacked for being racist. So people were terrified to say anything bad about the movie because they would be attacked for being racist. So imagine that. Movie comes out and every single review is positive. But then again, that was their strategy, right? Their strategy was black people are great. This movie has a ton of black people in it. If you don't like it, you're racist. But think about that. That's not really excluding anybody. Because compare that to Captain Marvel's marketing of, oh, you're a man? Fuck you then. Women are better than men. It's not like Black Panther was saying, oh, because black people are great, white people are terrible. That wasn't the message at all. So from that alone, you can't really expect, just because both have SJW fueled propaganda type marketing, that they're both gonna do the same kind of numbers. And that's just the movie's marketing. This is not even Brie Larson we're talking about yet. This is the movie's marketing, telling you that you're a piece of shit for being a man. So as a dude, why in the hell would you go see this? But then comes Brie Larson's batshit crazy ass, and if sexism wasn't bad enough, she had to make it about race as well. Because Captain Marvel's marketing team wanted to make it about, well, screw you for being a man. Brie Larson wanted to make it, screw you for being white as well. Because basically, we talked about this in the last video, but she would go to her press events, look around and be like, oh my god, it's overwhelmingly white male. Let me go to a Dr. Stacy, who gives a shit what her name is, at the Inclusion Initiative of Nobody Cares, and confirm that, because when I walk outside and it's raining and I'm being overwhelmed by raindrops, I'm like, I'm being overwhelmed by the rain. Well, let me go call the National Weather Service just to confirm that it's actually raining. You know what I mean? That's how dumb this person is. But anyway, because it was overwhelmingly white male, she started to exclude white male journalists from attending her press events. Mind you, this is coming from the person that always claims, do I hate white dudes? Of course not. Actions speak louder than words, Brie. Actions speak louder than words. So from these things, you've already excluded men in the former, and now you've excluded white people as well. So I mean, what do you think is going to happen to your projections? And why in the hell would you expect to do the same kind of numbers as Black Panther at that point? So you basically drop your projections down to something similar to what Wonder Woman did, right? Your mid-range is 100 million, Wonder Woman did 103 million opening weekend. But with Wonder Woman, it's the exact same points, man. Wonder Woman did not go on a tirade against men or white people. Gal Gadot was not going around derailing the movie before it even came out. She promoted the movie, and it did well. The movie was great. It did not have any SJW bullshit in it. It wasn't created as a feminist movie like Captain Marvel is, because if we treat that as like, okay, what if Gal Gadot did go around derailing the movie in a similar fashion as Brie Larson? Well, at least when you go see the movie, you're not being virtue signaled at the movie itself, because the Wonder Woman movie itself was not an SJW piece of work. Captain Marvel is. So you can't win either way. Plus, Wonder Woman was already a long-established franchise by the time the movie came out. Captain Marvel, the feminist comic books, have been rebooted so many goddamn times because it just doesn't work. People don't like being virtue signaled when they're just trying to be entertained. So where Wonder Woman did 103 million, they're saying that Captain Marvel's gonna do 100. I will be shocked if it does anything near what Wonder Woman did. Because as much as I believe that the majority of people are stupid, I'd still like to believe that if they're being told directly by Brie Larson, this batshit crazy lady, that if you're a dude and or if you're white, you suck, that you would not choose to see the movie if you fall in those categories. I'd also like to believe that even if you did not fall in those categories, if you just generally did not believe in those sentiments, you would also choose not to see the movie. And for those reasons, I would be surprised if this movie does 80 million opening weekend. When Doctor Strange came out, it did 85 million, and Doctor Strange is by far a more beloved and essential character to the Marvel comic universe, so I feel like that would be what the benchmark should be. Not Wonder Woman, not Black Panther, but Doctor Strange. If you somehow pass Doctor Strange, I will already be surprised. Now, the last point I want to make about the projections just in itself is where they talk about the way they get those metrics are based on interest and so on and so forth, and a lot of it has to do with how the trailers are being perceived, also how often the trailers are viewed. But the thing is, people like me who have no intention of watching this movie whatsoever, you've probably seen each of these trailers like 5 times at least each, and maybe like 20 times for the really bad one, because I could not believe it at the time. I had to keep replaying it because I was just like, how did you manage to screw this up this badly? And I'm just saying, there's probably a good chunk of people just like me that were doing the exact same thing and are probably not going to watch this movie, so that's not really a realistic metric to go by any means. Before we transition to the last part of this video, I wanted to throw this in here because it's clear by now that I do not like Brie Larson. She's a terrible human being in my opinion. Even though I'm Filipino, I still find great offense in somebody just blatantly being racist towards white people. I'm also a dude, so I take half of the offense that Brie Larson dishes out, right? So she wants to take petty jabs at people. I'm gonna take a petty jab as well. So she did a photo shoot with a Hollywood Reporter, and I just want to ask, what the hell is this pose, Brie? Oh, well, I call this the I need to take a shit, parentheses, barely made it. Kinda done with you telling me what I can't do. Alright, Brie, whatever floats your boat, I guess. So we're gonna end things off with our favorite people at the Mary Sue, because they're just the absolute worst publication of all time in my opinion. They put out this article, sorry haters, Captain Marvel is on track for heroic box office numbers. Higher, further, faster, baby. Sorry, not sorry to those of you who are hoping that Captain Marvel might flop, but according to the Hollywood Reporter, the film is on track to do incredibly well at the box office. The site is reporting that it's headed towards a 100 million plus opening in North America, pulling numbers similar to Wonder Woman's opening weekend of 103 million. The article states that rival studios with access to tracking say metrics for the film are giant, including unaided awareness and definite interest. Higher, further, faster, baby. Aren't you the people that reported also so that this would do 140 million opening? That you were gonna use that to laugh in our big dumb faces that doubted it? Well, I'm sorry to you morons, but 100 is not higher than 140, so higher, further, faster, baby. Yes, there were comics gators who felt that it would flop at the box office for being SJW propaganda. After all, star Brie Larson is vocally supportive of #TimesUp and women in journalism, and is an advocate for survivors of sexual violence. The trailers hype up the feminist aspect of the film immensely, with taglines like "Discover what makes her a hero," and Carol herself saying, "I'm kinda done with people telling me what I can't do," and ticket sales seem to confirm that as a winning strategy. Right, I didn't realize that the things that caused the projections to go down by $60 million to be considered winning strategy, but sure, Mary Sue, sure. It's worth noting that Wonder Woman also featured a similar marketing campaign, with ads highlighting the famous No Man's Land scene and featuring clips of Diana telling Steve that "what I do is not up to you," and with that girl power marketing and all-female screenings, it made a killing at the box office. I love how these SJW morons always make that comparison to Wonder Woman. Once again, Wonder Woman was not pushed as feminist propaganda. Once again, Wonder Woman was not pushed excluding males and have Gal Gadot go around on a press spree excluding white people as well. It's just mind-boggling that these morons cannot see that. Like, how are you conflating the two when they're not the same? Captain Marvel is a film that many Marvel fans have been waiting for a long time. It is the first Marvel superhero film that is not only co-directed by a woman, but starring a woman. Carol is not playing second fiddle to any of the men in the film. She's the lead, pure and simple. It makes sense that the film would fly to success. For those new here, I'm sorry. I mean, I did warn you guys that it is the worst publication of all time, but there you have it, the worst publication of all time. My estimates for this movie's opening weekend are around the 80s, the 80 millions. I know I've seen a lot of people like Young Ripa and other people on YouTube talk about wanting to see the movie just because they want to know how it ties into Endgame. Don't give them that satisfaction. They knew what they were doing with that too. They knew that they could treat you like shit and you'd still want to see the movie because of the whole Endgame thing. Don't give them that satisfaction. I really do not want this movie to do well. I wanted Wonder Woman to do well. I want the Wonder Woman sequel, that 1984 movie, to do well. Do not want this movie to do well. I don't want these big studios getting the idea that they can treat their audiences like crap and still be successful. I really hope that moviegoers will take a stand in similar fashion to how gamers took a stand against EA when EA said, "Don't like it, don't buy it," with Battlefield V. But like all other things, that remains to be seen. But what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, like the video, subscribe with notifications, share it with your friends and family, whoever the hell you think would be interested in it. Watch my 2 previous Captain Marvel videos, which the links are in the description down below, so you can see in greater detail what Brie Larson has done to tank Captain Marvel pre-release. And once again, ring that bell, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you can be alerted every time I make another one of these blueberry pancakes. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.